Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of the program Talk Sport on Global Television. We will be giving all the big stories making the rounds on the home front as we look at the MPFL, and also we're going to the foreign scene, giving all the big story concerning Nigerian players, and Victor Osimhen is the news this morning as we also look at what's happening to Manchester United in Old Trafford. We'll also be looking at Tottenham Hotspur and other big stories making the rounds in the exciting world of sports. Hopefully, we'll be joined via Zoom by Coach Onukmeku, who is a CAF licensed coach. He'll be reaching us from Senegal, where he is doing some business matters as we look at issues making the rounds. Also, hopefully, by 10:30 on the dot, we'll be joined by ex-international Femi Ajilore to help us look at other issues making the rounds as Nigeria and the Super Eagles of Nigeria get set for the big fight against the Mediterranean night as we look to qualify for AFCON 2025. These and other big stories as well we'll be sharing on today's edition of the program Talk Sport. Let's begin from the home front and let's look at Finidis Rivers going top of the MPFL. That's the big story this morning as we begin from the fact that Rivers United moved to the top of the 2024-2025 Nigerian Premier League football table after it had fought a 2-1 win over 2021 champions Akwa United. The Adokia Mesemesa Stadium in Port Harcourt on Sunday. The former Akwa United striker Ndem Freke Efyonga was the nemesis of his former club as he marked his return to the league with a match winner in the 85th minute for the Pride of Rivers. Finidi George side took the lead in the 32nd minute, courtesy of Stephen Mayo, but their visitors pegged them back immediately after the restart through Friday Akbolos. The Freke, who left Akwa United in January of 2023 for stints in Iraq and Morocco, had the final with the winner 5 minutes left on the clock. The win powered Rivers to the summit of the MPFL table with 13 points after 5 games. Also, let's just let you know that Rivers' ascendancy was also due to Remo Stars' 1-0 defeat to Kwara United in a lorry as Daniel Ogumadede's team were beaten for the first time this season. Meanwhile, Shola Abdulrahim's 56th minute goal secured the home team's first win of the season and also halted Remo's perfect run as Remo's defeat means only Rivers United and Academy Warriors of Maiduguri are still unbeaten teams in the Nigerian top flight this season. Let's tell you that elsewhere in Owerri, it was Emmanuel Amunike who grabbed his first win in charge of Heartland of Owerri, beating Niger Tornadoes of Mina 2-0 at the Dan Ayim Stadium with both goals coming off the foot of Michael Ogu. That's what's played out there. And let's take you to Jos, where Vincent Temitokpe scored a stunning bicycle kick goal for Plateau United, who edged the new boys Ikorodu City 1-0 with just a point so far this season. The defeat leaves the newly promoted side swimming deep in relegation waters at the bottom of the table. Meanwhile, let's tell you that Kazim Ogunleye returned from his one-game suspension to fire champions Rangers International. You called them the Flying Antelopes to a 1-0 victory over Abia Warriors in the Oriental Derby at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, where you call it the Cathedral. Yes, Eyimba were also on their way to an emphatic win over Katsina United in Aba before the live game was disrupted by floodlights malfunctioning. But meanwhile, the People's Elephant led 3-0 with less than 15 minutes still to play before the game was out on hold. All right, now you know the matches that had gone down and the scorelines. Very interesting play out. All right, let's talk about one very important news before we get to Chris Onukmeku, who will be joining us via Zoom from Senegal. Let's tell you that Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa marked his return to the Nigeria Premier League football with a brace, but missed a penalty for Kano Pillars, who beat Sunshine Stars of Akure at the Muhammadu Dikko Stadium in Katsina on Sunday. Let's tell you that winless in their last 3 matches, coach Usman Abdallah and his team were weighed down by the pressure of the new campaign, and he trusted the returning Musa with a place in the starting lineup, marking his third debut for Kano Pillars in the week 5 game. Musa justified Abdullah's confidence in him as he took him just 4 minutes to register his name on the score sheet with a leather finish. He was at the right place at the right time to fire Pillars in front from the edge of the box after being teed up by Mustafa Umar, who made a solo run down the right. 6 minutes after the restart, the former Leicester City striker made it 2-0 for Pillars, but missed the chance to score hat-trick when his 70th penalty hit the post. Let's just let you know that the 31-year-old Brace secured the second win for Pillars of the season, who hadn't won since their opening day 3-0 thrashing of Ikorodu City. Musa and Nigerian midfielder Shehu Abdullahi joined the same Mesugida side on a short-term contract for the 2024-2025 season. Also, Abdullahi was named on the bench but would have to wait for his second debut for the club, where he won 3 MPFL titles between 2012 and 2014. Musa is rejoining Pillars for the third time stint after featuring for them between 2009 and 2010 season, and also in 2021. His last club was Turkish side Sivasspor, and they parted ways by mutual consent in February. During Musa's first spell at Pillars in 2009, he ended the season as the top scorer with 18 goals before joining VV Venlo in the Dutch league. With 2 wins, a draw and 2 defeats, Pillars are now 7th in the MPFL table with 7 points. The defeat was also Sunshine's second of the season, leaving them with 7 points on the log behind their host on goal different. All right, let's go quickly for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be talking with Coach Onokbeku, and also we'll be looking at some stories concerning the Super Eagles as they get set to face the Mediterranean Knights of Libya as they aim to qualify for AFCON 2025. Stay with us. All right, welcome back from the break. It's still Talk Sport on Global Television, and we'll give you all the big stories making the rounds. We've given you the first half of stories concerning the MPFL and how Kano Pillars jumping and Rivers United taking the top spot from Remo Stars. Already you know that Ahmed Musa, Super Eagles winger, is back to the local league. That's one of our talking points this morning. All right, I will be joined by Chris Onokbeku, who is a CAF licensed coach, to help us look at some of the interesting happenings on the local league, and also will shed light on the Super Eagles. Hello, Chris Onokbeku. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Tony. How's everything?
Volume.
Good morning.
All right, nice to see you smiling from south to west. Let's look at the result of matches played in the Nigerian Premier League. One of the big talking points is the fact that Super Eagles winger and captain in the person of Ahmed Musa is back to the local league alongside Shehu Abdullahi. Both players who had featured for Kano Pillars before now are back to the league. What's your take as regards ex-internationals returning back to the local league to add some spice and experience to the league?
I think that is what we have been clamoring for. We have been preaching this thing for a very long time. If you watch the Brazilian league, you see the likes of Romario, the likes of what's it called, Ronaldo. All of them went back to their country to play for their league. That is one of the ways we can boost our league. By the time the likes of, if the other players are coming back to Nigeria to play, of course, sponsors will come from everywhere. The league does not need to look for sponsors by themselves anymore. They will come on their own because the big names are coming back to play for Nigerian league. But another challenge is that most of these players are not being respected by the local players back home. We remember what happened to Rashidi Yekini and the likes, and the way they treated them. That was why some of them decided not to come back. I remember Mikel Obi was also planning to play for Rivers United, if I'm not mistaken. Even Joseph Yobo. But because of what the other guys experienced in the past, that was why they decided not to. So I think the Nigerian professional football league need to repackage the league. They should look for how to encourage these guys that are about to retire. Even if it's one season, let them just come back home and play. Even if it's 6 months or 3 months, it will go a long way to reshape the league.
All right, let's look at just over the weekend. We had Ahmed Musa on the score sheet for Kano Pillars. Some people have doubted how good if he still got what it takes to play for the Super Eagles. With his consistency already scoring in the league, does that tell us how fit and how good Musa is and still relevant for the Super Eagles?
I know you are going to ask this kind of question, and I know many Nigerians will also be talking towards that. I think the national team is not everybody should play. Musa has tried. As we speak now, he has the highest number of caps for the national team. I think for me, Musa he has done well for the national team, and he should call it quits. If the likes of Musa, if they don't leave this scene, that means we won't discover new talent. We won't discover young players. So we know that we need experience in the national team, but we can't continue playing with old men. At the end of the day, look at what happened during late Keshi when he was in the national team. He was not playing. He was just sitting on the bench. So many of them, even if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember one other captain, Yobo, the same thing. So I think once your body is telling you to quit, I think it's better. You can't compare national team level with the league. The league, you are about, it's not every time you play in the league, but national team, you see the number of players that are being assembled in every national team. So if we begin to assemble young old men in our national team, of course it will affect us. So for me, I think Musa have done well. You should just call it quit and face the Nigerian league.
All right. Looking at the NPFL already, we see Rivers United leapfrogging Remo Stars already to the top of the log. How excited and what's the expectation for this season? We see Ikorodu City already losing, I think, 2 matches now, and they have been trashed everywhere they go. What are the chances of the traditional teams still winning this season? And for the new boys, Ikorodu City and others, how well do you think they're going to do?
Ikorodu boys remind me of Southampton in the EPL. I think they are planning to go back to where they are coming from. You know, the elite league is not for everybody. If you are going to play in the elite league, you must be well prepared. You must buy player, quality, not just any player, quality players, intelligent players. So if you are playing in the NPFL, whether we like it or not, it's one of the best in Africa. It's just that the way they are being packaged, the way it is being packaged, is one of the best. We parade the best players in the league. That is why every month you see our players going out of the league. But people don't know all these things. Some of them sneak out. Back to Rivers United. Whether we like it or not, Finidi George is a good coach. It's just that they didn't give him enough time to handle the national team. National team and the league, they are not the same thing. And we have been saying this over and over, that before you give a club, before you give the national team to anybody, let the person be tried at the club level. And that's why I don't buy the idea of NFF. Every time you just appoint a coach. In those days, I remember before you are given the national team job, you write exam, you face panel, you do physical, you do oral and rating exam. But today you just appoint coaches like that. That's why some of them, because the way they got the job, they don't value it. That's why they just do anything they like. You see coaches, if there is nothing, if there is no national team job, they are drinking pepper soup everywhere instead of them to go and refresh themselves, go for a refresher course, or even go to the internet and help themselves, or even go and watch other people. I most times when I watch EPL, I learn so many things from most of these coaches. I learn the way they play, because every coach has his own policy, his own style. So you can learn so many things from different people and put them together and get your own. So I think NFF should just change the way they engage coaches. Some of our coaches cannot even express themselves. They can't speak, they can't express themselves. So I don't know how they communicate with players.
All right.
So for Finidi George, I think I wish him well. He did well with Enyimba. People thought it was a fluke. Now he's proving it in Rivers United. I think it's a good one for him. And for Remo Stars, they are also a good side. I want to commend the owner of that club. He's doing very well. If other club sides can be doing what the owner is doing, I have not been there, but I was meant to understand that they have two standard pitches where they play good football. So I want to encourage others, especially the likes of Dangote, who are planning to buy Arsenal. Let them invest in Nigerian football. When they invest in Nigeria, they will even make more money, because by the time they start producing good players, they will be selling them abroad. So instead of going to buy Arsenal, and because of the love for Arsenal, let them invest back home. That was what Remo Stars, the owner of Remo Stars, did. He has Remo Stars, and he also has another club outside the country. So I want to wish Finidi George the best of luck.
All right, let's go to the national team. Libya coach Nasser Al-Hadiri is a despondent ahead of Friday's 2025 AFCON qualifier doubleheader against Nigeria, which first leg holds October 11th at Godswill Akpabio International Stadium. The coach of Libya is already scared of Nigeria's star players. Though he's celebrating the fact that Osimhen won't be there, Olisandao will not be there due to injury. Are you confident? You were talking about Finidi George being a great coach. Are you confident Austin Eguavoen has what it takes to take us to AFCON 2025? And do you think he is the man for the job? He has said there are two conditions for him to take that job permanently. One of them being a long contract, and the other getting consistent support from the NFF. Do you think he's going to get what he wants?
For the Libya coach, I want to believe it's just a mind game, trying to overrate our players so that at the end of the day, they will get carried away. I think they should be focused. They should just forget about those hype. It's a normal thing from some coaches. It's a mind game. Don't be surprised, Libya will just come and surprise us. But for the players and the coach, I want to advise that they should be focused. Let them not be carried away by the hype of the Libyan coach. And for Eguavoen, for me, Eguavoen is a good coach. Whether we like it or not, he's a good coach. The only challenge I have with him is that when it comes to the big stage, especially some of our coaches, when it comes to the big stage, they get lost. They don't know what to do. And that was what, even it's not only Nigerian coaches. Even we saw what happened at the last AFCON. This man, Peseiro, was confused. For me, I will have won that match. I know what to do to win that match. There was no need for you to be defending after scoring the first goal. When you score the first goal, you go and attack and get the second one, not sitting back. When you sit back, they will mount pressure on you and you will be forced to make mistakes. That was why Cote d'Ivoire won that match. So it's not about the skin. It's about what you know. So for me, I think some of our coaches, they need to improve themselves. They need to watch, just like I said, they should watch other people. Nobody has monopoly of wisdom. Nobody. You can learn from anybody. I learn from my younger ones. I learn from anybody. I can learn from anywhere. What I need is that knowledge. So I think our coaches should be learning one or two things. Let them watch the La Liga, watch EPL. This instead of praising these people or watching football just as a fan. Let them watch and learn something from this league that have been played week in, week out. So for me, Iguavo is a good coach, but when he gets to the big stage, that's my fear for him. He doesn't really get it. He and Madam Bosso. I'm sorry. That is just the truth.
Regards Nigeria, what's your expectation when we face Libya? And like I did say, Iguavo said he needs two conditions for him to take the job permanently. Should he be the permanent coach, or do you think we should still look elsewhere?
You can see we don't need all this type of conditions. How can the coach be giving us conditions as big as the Super Eagles is? That's why I respect Amaju, even though I don't like some of his policies. He said the Super Eagles is a big brand. You don't need to beg anybody to take up that job. NFF should conduct interviews for coaches, both oral and written. That is how to select coaches. That's what they do in other places. Even if you want to select a coach, it should be a top coach. But people used to say, if you want to eat frog, you eat the one that has egg inside. You don't just eat anyhow frog. So for me, the Super is a big brand. Nobody should beg anybody. If Iguavo is giving condition, after all, he's the director of, he's the technical director. He should face his job. The reason why they're engaging is because the time is very short for us to engage, to bring in a coach. And you know, when you bring in a new coach, he will introduce so many different things, which player might not understand immediately. So that is why they gave him that job in the first place. So for him to be given the national team or NFF a condition, I don't buy into it. I think it's better we'll do for another person than for him to be giving us condition.
All right, before we let you go, let's take this one more story. That Victor Osimhen has carted home his first Turkish Super League award soon after joining Galatasaray on season-long loan from Napoli. The Nigerian international impressive goal against Kasımpaşa has been voted the goal of the week by beIN Sport, receiving a significant number of votes and securing 77.96% of the total. Osimhen scored his first goal and followed it up with his first brace, but it was not enough to secure all 3 points for the Turkish champions, who gave up a 3-goal lead to allow the visitors to share the spoils. The 25-year-old did showcase his skill and decisiveness of to volley home with his left foot after receiving the pass from Napoli teammate Dries Mertens to put his team 2-0 up. For you, are you impressed with Victor Osimhen's consistency in Gala? But do you think Galatasaray is the best team for Victor to have moved to?
I think Victor Osimhen moved to Galatasaray not because he loved the club, but because he doesn't want to stay without playing football throughout the season. He wanted to go to Chelsea, but unfortunately for him, the manager was so selfish that he wanted Osimhen to go for the big money so that he himself can get big compensation. So for me, I'm not surprised with Osimhen's exploits in Galatasaray or in the Turkish league. He's a bigger player. He's bigger than that league. You see, if any player that can play in the Serie A can survive anywhere in the world, especially in the EPL. If Osimhen was to be playing for Chelsea by now, I bet you he will have scored more than even 5 goals. He will have scored many goals, because if he can survive in Italy, I believe he can survive anywhere. So for me, I'm not surprised that he's doing well in Galatasaray or in the Turkish league.
Do you expect, we did get reports that Chelsea will be going in for him in January. Do you think that would be a good move for him to move in during the general transfer window, to move to Chelsea?
I think Chelsea too. It's just that they don't want to disrupt the payment in their team, because if they start paying Osimhen that kind of money, it will cause division in the dressing room. That was why it's not as if Chelsea cannot afford that money, but they don't want to cause problem in the team. That was why. And Osimhen himself also know that he is in a wrong club, but he just have to be playing to keep fit. So that was why he went to Galatasaray. So I won't be surprised if Chelsea decide to go for him in January. And he himself, I know he will be willing to come to Chelsea. He will be willing to maybe buy over his contract and move over to Chelsea. I think EPL is a bigger league than the Turkish league.
All right, before we just let you know, just a quick one. What's your take as regards Manchester United and the continuous missing of chances, the draws and losses? Do you think it's time for your fellow coach, Ten Hag, to leave?
I remember there was a time we were doing a course, I think CAF course, and late Cashew Laluku was telling us that if they score a goalkeeper, everybody will blame the goalkeeper. He said once you start, the ball is not with you. The attacker, the striker becomes automatically a defender. So the attacker, the attackers or the striker will start marking. The midfielder, well, he said if they score a goalkeeper, where do the ball pass? Is it not from the other side until you go to the midfield, to the defense and enter the net? So everybody should be blamed, not the coach alone. After all, the coach cannot do everything. Sometimes I'm talking from experience. You tell players some things in the dressing room. When you get to the pitch, they'll be doing something different. You'll be wondering whether they want you to be sacked. That is players for you. So I think even if they bring another coach, I don't think Man U will do well. The problem, just like I always say, started long ago when Ferguson was leaving. They ought to have brought a coach to understudy him so that he can take over easily. But they made that mistake, allow Ferguson to go. They brought in coach. That one wanted to start all over, and that is what we are experiencing till today. Even if they bring another coach, I don't know where they are going to bring coach from, whether from the move, because Ancelotti is not available.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Chris Onokbeku, joining us all the way from Senegal to look at the Nigerian Premier League and all that talking points. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, the program Talk Sport continues with other exciting stories and ex-international to join us too. Stay with us.
Time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk Sports with the King of Sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
That goal! Beautiful work from the wingers! Shot it, squares it, into the back!
It's time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk Sports with the King of Sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
That goal! Beautiful work from the wingers!
right, welcome back from the break. You still talk sport, and we're still giving all the big stories making the rounds. Let's give you some fencing story. Now, very interesting story here. British fencer Folayemi Akinsoye has pledged his allegiance to Nigeria, leaving behind his representation of Great Britain. Akinsoye, who has been a prominent figure in British junior fencing for the past 6 years, made this decision as fencing gains momentum in Nigeria. His transfer request was also granted by the British fencing with a waiver of the usual 3-year non-compete period. The 20-year-old expressed his excitement about the switch, particularly about Nigeria's prospect of competing at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, President of the Nigerian Fencing Federation, Adeyinka Samuel, welcomed Akinsoye's decision, highlighting the positive impact on the sports development in Nigeria. So we're hoping he can get us more medals in the coming weeks and years ahead, especially as we look at the Olympics in 2028 in the US. All right, let's talk some boxing. As a former British heavyweight champion, David Price has backed Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois IBF heavyweight title rematch following boxing promoter Eddie Hearn's revelation that Saudi Arabia will most likely host the highly anticipated fight involving the two Britons. Last month, Joshua's bid to become 3-time world champion and return to the division's top table ended dramatically and unexpectedly, with Dubois dropping him several times at Wembley Stadium in front of 98,000 fans before he landed the final blow, a crunching right hand in round 5 that left Joshua sprawling on the canvas for the 4th career loss. The defeat sent shockwaves through the boxing world, with some pundits questioning Joshua's future in the sport. Reacting to talks about his future, Joshua vowed to continue boxing, with his promoter confirming that the Middle Eastern Kingdom will stage the rematch as part of the Riyadh season, a festival of entertainment and sport event that runs from October to early March. So now you're sure Anthony Joshua is no time giving up. He's likely to keep fighting until Mama calls. So let's see how that is going to pan out in terms of Anthony Joshua getting the job done. I think we've got Femi Ajilore, who is waiting in the waiting room to join us via Zoom so that we can talk more football issues. All right, let's just take this story from Old Trafford before we join him. Let's let you know that Paul Scholes has slammed Manchester United's recruitment and claims they are relying more on hope than proving quality. The Red Devils continued their poor start to the season as they extended their winless run to 5 matches with a goalless draw at Aston Villa. Meanwhile, Ten Hag's side ended the weekend in 14th place in the Premier League table with a goal difference of -3 despite heavy recruitment over the summer. Joshua Zazi, Matis De Ligt, Manuel Ugarte and Lenny Yoro and Nosia Maruzu all joined the club after a dismal campaign which saw United 8th last season. However, Scholes believes the former two have not made impact and heavily criticized Ten Hag and the club's recruitment strategy. The former United midfielder also questioned the roles of Rasmus Højlund and Lisandro Martinez, who were both signed by the Dutchman. All right, let's quickly see if we can get across. Femi Ajilore, are you there? Good morning. Hello, Femi, are you there?
Good morning.
All right, thank you for joining us on Talk Sports. All right, let's first of all begin with the talking point as regards players, ex-internationals of foreign-based players who are returning back to the Nigerian Premier League. We saw Ahmed Musa return back, and he came back with a banger, scoring and also giving assists for Kanu Pillars and Shehu Abdullahi. For you as an ex-international, do you think this is the way to go to improve our league?
Thanks for having me once again. Yes, of course. We've seen what Ahmed did yesterday, and for me, it's a welcome development. And I think we should encourage this. And of course, to do that, our league needs to improve. If our league improves, I'm sure we will see more of ex-international players that are already at their peak in Europe, that will be able to return back to Nigeria and, continue from where they stopped. So for me, it's a welcome development. Musa has shown that not even before now. He has done that before and he has come back again to do that. And you can see obviously that the man is still in a very good form. And this has also shown us that he's got a lot to still offer the game itself. So for me, it's a welcome development. All that is important is our league, to continue to improve so that we can have more experienced players back in the league.
All right. Some pundits have said it looks like it's only Kano Pillars that has that appeal to make their ex-players return back to the teams. That other teams and other clubs from other regions of the country are not doing enough to entice their own professionals to return back. Do you think it's a question of the club's willingness to get these players back to the league, or it's just about the league itself?
I think both have a role to play. Many players would have loved to, come back to play in the home league. I was privileged to speak to some players that, recently stopped playing in Europe. But the information I got from some of them, was that our league is not well functioning. So, and that discouraged them a lot. When I say not well functioning, when you look at players' welfare, the way the clubs own players, salaries and all that. So these are key factors that can encourage some of these players. And I can tell you that some of these players that are coming back, of course, they are not expecting so much amount, to be paid to them. But some welfare should be taken into consideration if you are to bring them back. And if all these are in place, I'm sure we have more players, that can come back and play in our league. And this will also boost the content of our league as well. Unlike Kano Pillars, they have what it takes. And there has been this strong care between Ahmed and the team. So we need to encourage this and we need to encourage other clubs in the country, to bring more players that are just, some are not playing in Europe at the moment, waiting for another club. If they take the challenge and play in our league, that can also help them, to continue with their development and keep them in the right shape and in the right frame of mind. So I think both, like you have mentioned, have a strong role to play to encourage our um, former internationals to participate in the league.
All right. Before we talk about the Super Eagles, let's just talk about this player. Paul Pogba is in talks with Juventus with a view to ending his second stint with the Serie A club. It was revealed that Pogba's initial 4-year doping ban was reduced by the Court of Arbitration for Sport (CAS) to just 18 months, meaning he can recommence playing competitive football in March next year. Pogba can restart training in January, but it's understood that Pogba is likely to continue his career away from Juve with the expectation that he will reach a mutual agreement with the old lady of Turin. For you, do you think Pogba can still find his way back into international football? And some have said what he did to his brother, where he got his brother arrested and jailed, was the beginning of his crisis.
Well, it's not a good situation for him, but it's just a lesson to every other player, to stay away from whatever that can bring disrepute, to her name. So, but for him, going back to Juventus might be difficult, knowing fully well what has happened, and I don't think he can be at his best at the moment. It's not easy to have been out for so long and to come back to a club that has been on top of their game. So it might be difficult. I think he needs to start, from a lower team so that he can get himself back, to the right form that we've known him to always be. So and of course, for him as a player, Um, it, I'm sure he can never be at his right frame of mind at the moment, And when you look at the number of times that he's going to be out again, it can never be the same. And you know that in football, as you age, you're dropping, especially when you're already um, beyond 28 to 25. So it's not going to be the same. And for a club like Juventus, I'm sure they are aware of that fact. And I can assure you that they are already looking at younger players that they can make profit from when they bring them and to develop them, in their team. So it's a tough situation. And of course, the family issue. I don't think I have anything to say regarding that. They should have been kept, among themselves, and they should have been able to resolve it. So either is the cause of his challenges, I don't know, but I think it's just a family issue that should have been resolved amicably. So, but when you look at his professional um, career now, it's difficult. But I still believe he can still get back. But getting back, it has to be a gradual process.
All right. Just to wrap it up, in terms of national team, do you think there's also a chance for him at the national team? And how do you think the French national team can support his rapid way back?
Well, at the moment, I don't think he stand any chance. At the moment, when you look at the form of those players, playing his position, and they have been active, every week in, week out, playing for their respective clubs, compared to someone that has been out of real football. Of course, he will be playing, he will be training, but even playing with some lower teams at the moment can never be the same as playing with top professional teams. So at the moment, I don't think he stands a chance. But you never know if he returns back to football. I still think he needs some months, probably 6 months or a year, to get back on his toes. To be at his best. So, but like I said, at the moment, I don't stand any chance. But when he comes back and he starts again, hopefully when he get back to his best form, probably he might stand a chance again.
The Abuja Soccer League, the way forward. What is our expectations for in the coming weeks, months for the Abuja Soccer League? We know that you've been helping youngsters in the FCT to become better players and also give them the notion of the Champions League where they play home and away matches. Take us through how far and how well.
Well, I must tell you that this year's edition of the Kids Soccer League was fantastic. It was a huge, successful one, for us, and it's quite unfortunate that we were not on ground to witness the final. But I can tell you, it was a successful one. More than 8 teams were present on the final day. We have dignitaries, to witness the game and to encourage most of these young lads. And I can tell you, after the final day, some players were selected because we invited some of the underage national team coach, and some players were discovered. And this is one of our aim, and we were happy to see that, and we're looking forward to follow up for them so that they can have the opportunity, if given, to probably represent our darling nation. And I can tell you also that our coming edition, there are so many things that we've learned from this edition, and we are hoping to put them into practice so that we don't go through the same mistakes that we went through in this first edition. But it's an exciting one. A lot of the kids were there, their parents, a lot of people were there. So, but still, we are still craving for support, sponsorship, and all that, so that we can even make it even more elaborate for the kids, so that they can continue to live in their dreams with the hope of achieving it someday.
All right. My final question will be: Samson Siasa is supposed to very soon return back to coaching, and we know one of his sons, well, one of the products of this Abuja Soccer League. Give us more update as regards Samson Siasa's son and the father also.
Let me quickly correct this. It's not Samson Siasa's son. It's the brother's son.
Son, okay.
And
That's the nephew.
Yeah, the nephews. Okay.
Okay.
So Nathan Johnson and I can tell you these lads are future stars, players to watch out for, you know. Currently, they are in Canada, after traveling for some few trials games, and I can tell you they have been given scholarship to remain with the hope that they can continue with their development and their education. So it's an interesting news for us. And of course, for me personally, I was very happy because we did a lot in promoting these youngsters. And our belief is that they should learn the basics and understand it, especially at their tender age. And we can proudly tell you these guys are good. They are doing very well, and they have helped even their team out there in Canada to win the first medal, for the team. So it's an interesting journey for them, and I can tell you the team are proud of them, for helping them to win their first silverware, in out there in Canada. So we are excited, and we are also looking forward to many more players that will be given such an opportunity, to progress in their career. And of course, for Samson Siasia, he has returned to coaching, let me tell you, because the ban has been lifted, and we are happy to see him, get back to what he loves doing. And I can tell you there are many things that have been jostling for his signature at the moment, but he needs to recess himself and get back well so that he can pick the right club of his choice. So it's going to be an interesting journey for him as well. I look forward to seeing him in one of the best clubs in Nigeria or overseas, and of course to also see him someday to handle our national team if given the opportunity.
All right, thank you very much. I hope next time we'll call upon you, you'll be live in the studio so we can talk more about the FCT Football Association. I know you're a key member there, so that you can give us update as regards football in the FCT and what you and your board members are doing to better NNL and football in the country in general. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's how we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program Talk Sport. I want to say a big thank you to Chris Onokbeku, who is a CAF licensed coach, joined us all the way from Senegal to look at the Nigerian Premier Football League and other matters concerning the Super Eagles and Nigerian players. And also not forgetting ex-international Femi Ajilore, who was part of Nigeria's team to the Olympics with the Dream Team, also giving us his take as regards football matters and other sporting events. My name is Anthony Momodu, the King of Sports, saying thank you for joining me on today's edition. Let's do this again tomorrow. Good morning.